So, guys, today is Sasha's 1 year of being self-employed anniversary.
Actually, it's in 2 days, August 4th.
No, but by this time this comes out, it's today.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah. So in 2 days, yeah, facts.
So, just like last episode, we are now going to talk about Sasha's journey into the whole Amazon game, her journey into becoming self-employed and everything like that. So, hopefully, um, it's not too repetitive for you guys, but me and Sasha have had quite different journeys. So, do you want to start with the same thing, like high school and how you were in high school? Because for me, I was saying that I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur and do things on my own, but you've always had that instinct and you've always wanted to do something like that. So, talk a bit about your high school journey.
Yeah, so in last episode when I was saying that like my guidance counselor used to chase me down the halls being like, Sasha, choose something, choose something. So like my last year of high school, I remember like everyone enrolling into like random programs, and I was kind of just like, I don't want to do any of these programs. And obviously, like, imagine all of your friends are like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then you're just sitting there like feeling lost, like not knowing what the hell you're gonna do. So I think from that moment I was kind of just like, I don't want to go to school. There's nothing that I feel like school can offer me in terms of like the programs that I saw. So I kind of knew from basically like once I graduated high school that I was like, I don't plan on getting a degree. And so I kind of knew that I was going to take a different route than what most people around me were doing. So I guess I never 100% thought like that it would be a business, but like it was either a business or like maybe a trade or like something that was just basically not a degree. So I kind of always knew that I wasn't going to go the traditional route just because I didn't feel like there was anything there for me. So that's kind of how it looked like when I first started. Like I just didn't feel really like I fit in with any of those programs. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me. Like I knew for sure that I wasn't going to do that, but I ended up enrolling anyways because all of my friends were, and I wasted some time in school. I wouldn't say wasted though, because like I still believe that you learn some valuable things from school, so I wouldn't say necessarily that I was wasting my time, but I ended up doing like 3 or 4 semesters in college, and then I was just like I was working at the same time, and I was just like, I'm learning more from working jobs than being in school. So I decided to drop out of school, work full time. um I even went to school to do makeup because like in a way doing makeup you can make it into your own business, like if you do makeup on the side
Mhm.
for people. So I was kind of like, maybe that's what I'll do. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then like once I did that makeup program, that was like the first entrepreneurial type thing that I did. Um, and yeah,
I
so that was
remember
kind
we
of
had
like the first dream that I had, I guess.
I remember we went to Toronto and you were doing your license for something.
Yeah,
What
so
was it?
I really wanted to go into the beauty industry because I really liked it. So I kind of was like, I'm just going to do something in the beauty industry. And I liked the fact that it could be something that would potentially be your own business. So I started out by just working in like cosmetic sales, selling cosmetics, and also doing makeup, but like for a store rather than doing it for myself. But then I kind of started doing it on my own a little bit. And so that was my first side hustle, I guess you could say. But yeah, then I started doing like certificates to do eyelashes and like other beauty treatments because I was like, okay, eventually I'm going to open my own salon. So that was my kind of like first thing that I wanted to do, or like that was like I had decided like that's what I'm going to do. But then it became so difficult because you need to have a place to actually do these treatments on people, and it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to like, if you have no money yet, it's hard to rent a place to do the treatments if you don't have any income from it yet. So it's like, how do you actually start? And like there are so many ways to start. Like you can start from your own home, but like I honestly, like I was living with my family and like I don't have any space in my home, so like it just wasn't possible for me to do that. So I kind of got a bit discouraged with that whole dream, and that's when everything kind of changed, and I was kind of just like, I don't think this is going to work out. um and yeah, so that was the first like failure, or like I actually had many failed business attempts. So
And when
like
was this? Was this like 3 years ago, I think, 4 years ago?
right after I dropped out of college, I guess I was like 18, 19.
Okay.
That's when I went to like a makeup program. I did it over the summer, and then I started doing cosmetics and stuff like after that. Then ever since then, basically I was trying a bunch of different things. So I was doing like a lash course. I actually did a personal training course, but I never completed it. What else did I do? I did so many like I paid for so many random courses, and then like I actually enrolled in school two times after that to try to go back to school because I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go back to school. I was kind of all over the place, just like trying to find something that worked and like trying different things. Um, but yeah, and then eventually once I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the like open my own salon thing, but then that kind of failed. I was working a job that was paying me like decently well, and it was in the finance area. As you guys know, it was in like banking, finance and stuff. So that's when I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll go into something more like financy, um, because I learned a lot of stuff about that and everything. But then I was just like, I fucking hate working here, so that as well kind of failed. And I guess that's when we met, and that's when like we kind of started doing Amazon. It was a little bit after working there, but um, I think my beauty salon dream kind of failed once it's like once you start working a job that pays you pretty well, you kind of get comfortable working there. So I
Mhm.
was starting to think like, oh, maybe I'll stay in the banking industry because it's like honestly it's not that bad. Like you have very good benefits in a bank and they pay pretty well. So I was kind of like maybe this will be my thing, you know? Um, so yeah, that's kind of like how my journey looked for the past couple of years. It was kind of all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah. And then, like, what got you to be where you are now?
Um, well, as I said, I've always wanted to do something that was like a business, I guess. And so, well, Chris, as you know, when you started selling on Amazon, I was kind of like, I was a bit intrigued, but I was also like, I had tried so many different things. Like, I had tried so many different like routes, different businesses that I was just like, I was kind of like more hesitant to try something new at that point because I had tried so many things. But well, at least when it comes to Amazon, the reason why I ended up starting selling on Amazon is because it's like the fact that it's so low risk, at least the business model that we're doing. So like online arbitrage, you're just reselling known products that already exist in the market. It's
Hmm.
such a simple and straightforward business model that I was just like, this makes so much sense. This is too almost like it was almost too good to be true. And the fact that like if something goes wrong, you can literally go return your products back to the store. I was like, this is so low risk that it's like it's almost stupid to not try it, you know? So like I don't think it took that much convincing for me to start doing it because like Chris, like you were already for sure gonna start doing it, but then you were like, oh, if you want to do it too, we can like learn at the same time. And so just because of the fact that it's so low risk, I was like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna try this. And I didn't even put that much money like in the beginning. I think I invested like $1,000 total for like my first like upfront costs, and that's actually very low if you think about like traditional businesses. So for me, I was like, I'm working a good job, I can pay my bills and still have a little bit of money like afterwards. So I was like, let me put this money into something. And yeah, I mean that's how I got into Amazon. It was really just because it was low risk and I was still looking for something, you know.
Yeah. And you had a full-time job then, and a lot of people struggle to build a side hustle when they have a full-time job. So, how did you do it? Because it's a big effort to sort of juggle a full-time job and starting a successful side hustle. So, did you have any tips, or like how did you do it? Because I don't sort of remember now. Like,
Well, I think that we were really lucky because COVID had just hit. So, I mean, at least for me, I was working from home. So, my job went from being in the office to being able to work from home. So, being able to work from home alongside like building a business, especially a business that can be done from home, like both of these things could be done from home. It was like, it was so helpful. And so, like, I remember I would just be like, because it was a job where you just take calls all day, and there were times where like there weren't calls, or like there were time periods where you're not always working every single minute of the shift. And so during those hours, I would take my laptop and just try to find products for Amazon. I would prep my shipments while taking calls. Like it was just easy to kind of do both of them at the same time because I was working from home. So I think that helped a lot. Also, there's no commuting, so you don't have to drive back and forth to work. There's no traffic. So I think that I'm really lucky that I was able to work from home while doing this, because if not, like I'm sure it would have been much harder to start this business. But yeah, that's I mean that's how I was able to do both of them at the same time. But also it's like I think like making sure that you're prioritizing your time, you're managing your time well. That's also a factor, because we had started our businesses around like April, May, right? And typically every summer everyone is like, let's go party and have fun, and like that's what everyone does every summer. Obviously, even us, sometimes we do that, but I think that summer we were both really like focused and just like making like, because I think for me it was like I still hadn't found something that I was doing yet, and I just like I was unhappy in the job I was doing. I knew I wanted to have my own business, so it was like I finally found something that was working. So I spent the whole summer being like 100% dedicated to that. And yeah, so I think that's how I was able to build a business alongside working full time, is just being able to work from home and prioritizing my time.
Yeah, and
And
I just
you,
want to know, in terms of starting a business or a side hustle, I know Chris mentioned that he had a goal of being able to quit in 2 years. I want to know, when you initially started thinking about building the Amazon business, did you have a destination in mind, or was it just you feeling it out and seeing how your progression was going to go throughout the process?
It's actually kind of funny because I was like, I wasn't really thinking that far ahead. I don't know. I'm not somebody that thinks like that far ahead. Like you guys, I know you guys think a little bit more long term than me. But it's funny because like I really wasn't, like, even when I quit my job a year ago, it's like I wasn't even planning on quitting my job. So like I didn't really have a specific amount of time in mind. I just knew that eventually I wanted to be 100% self-employed. Whenever that moment came, it was going to come. So I didn't really have a specific time that I set out, but like I definitely set out like shorter goals. Like I wanted to make a certain amount of sales, I wanted to reach a certain amount of profit, or like stuff like that. Like I made like more shorter term goals, because I don't know, I guess my brain just operates better thinking of short term that rather than long term. So that's kind of how it looked for me. Like I just kind of created small goals and then gradually waited till I got to the end. But I didn't, like I said, I really did not plan on quitting my job when I did. I knew that I wanted to quit soon, but I like when I actually quit, I was like, it was kind of just like I saw a video online and I was like, should I quit my job? And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna quit my job. And so I kind of just did it on impulse, which is not necessarily the smartest thing to do, but I wouldn't change my decision because I'm very grateful for the position that I'm in. But I do admit that it was a little reckless. I was kind of just like, fuck it, I'm gonna quit my job.
yeah, and you've built other streams of income since, right? You're not only relying on Amazon for to live, right?
Yeah, so it's funny. I literally just filmed a YouTube video today, and I just said the exact same thing. But like we all say this, but basically, like at this point in the world, with the amount of like, or like the lack of security, I should say, like seeing people losing their jobs and just like understanding that a business might not be stable, but a traditional job also might not be stable. I think it's super important to not rely on just one thing. So yeah, because like once I started selling on Amazon, after a couple of months I started realizing there's other ways to make money as well. And so I just kept like building up different streams of income. I'd honestly, I'd have to count how many I have at this point, but maybe like four or five. But um to be honest, like I never even thought that this was possible. Like when I was working a job, I never thought that you could have multiple ways of making money. Like it was never something that I thought of. But then when I started following a lot of people on Twitter who were like in this same niche, they were selling on Amazon or whatever, they started talking about like other ways to make money. So there's cash back that you can get from your credit cards that can make you so much money. It's crazy. I just saw a guy from Twitter who sells on Amazon. He had like a $3,000 check from just cash back, which is fucking crazy. Um, there's affiliate marketing, so you can recommend programs that you use to other people. You can make money that way. There's teaching other people how to sell on Amazon. You can make money that way. There's just like, there's so many opportunities that exist in this world of making money. It's crazy. And so I think once I got into making money on Amazon, that's when everything kind of opened up to me in the online world. And I was kind of just like, holy fuck, there's so many ways of making money. And so I definitely went after as many as I could. And so now I'm kind of just like maintaining, like, I'm not, right now, I'm not really focused on building new streams, although I guess YouTube is technically another stream that I will have eventually once I get monetized. But I'm not really that focused on building new streams right now. I'm kind of just focused on growing the ones that I have, because I think you should have like some solid ones before, like, you should, if you don't have at least one or two solid ones, you shouldn't try to be having 10 different streams. You should try to focus on building the ones you have now. So that's where my focus is right now. But 2 years ago, all I had was one job, you know, versus now where where like, if for some reason one of my side hustles or businesses is not making money, I have one of the other ones that I can lean on.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to take it step by step too. I think a lot of people confuse having multiple streams of income with I need to start a bunch of different things, where we found success with our Amazon businesses, and that one thing, like focusing on that one thing, opened up other streams of income.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, most of the other streams of income, or actually all of the streams of income, I guess, that I have, all route back to Amazon. So it's true. Like, if we wouldn't have started by focusing on building a solid Amazon business, like, I wouldn't have these other streams of income. So it's really true that, like, if you're starting from zero, instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna do 5 different things right now, you should definitely focus on just doing one. And then once that one is stable and you know it's running smoothly, whatever, then you can start adding on new things.
Yeah, I think people just have to establish themselves in one niche or one industry,
Yeah,
become an
I agree.
expert
That's it.
in that industry, and then afterwards, some people are able to juggle both. But if you're able to at least focus on one and be known as the expert in that field, I think a lot of doors could be opened up for you, especially online when you're able to monetize it by being an industry leader. So I think that that's a very important lesson for people who don't know where they're going. Just pick something you do well at your job, and most of the time, those skills you could just transfer over outside your 9 to 5.
Mhm.
Yeah, facts.
I'm so interested because we've all tried so many different things, and I quit a lot of things. I know, Sasha, you quit a lot of things too. Um, what is it about Amazon that like we didn't quit? Like I always think about that. Why didn't I quit Amazon, but I quit other things? Is it because of how simple it is, or like, do you ever think about that? Like,
Yeah,
why is
I do for
Amazon?
sure. Yeah, I do think about that because um like, before last time I moved, I had a bunch of stuff in my closet that was like eyelashes and like a bunch of stuff that I spent money on that was from all of my failed business attempts. And I always made jokes like, oh, I eventually have to throw away all of my failed business attempts because like I tried literally so many things and I spent so much money on them. But I think like, I think at least for me, like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's the fact that the sales are so easy to get. And because you can get a result so quickly, it's like it's like once you send in a product and you make your first sale, that's a confirmation that this business works and that you can actually make money with this. You just then have to go and scale it up. So I think
Mm,
it's just like, for example, if I were to do makeup on somebody, it's like it's kind of hard to, it's like it requires a lot more preparation to kind of get started, to actually start offering beauty services somewhere. Like you have to practice on somebody like for a couple of weeks or months until you're actually good enough. Then you need to find a place to actually do it. Like there's just a lot more money that you need to invest, like to pay for a certification. It's at least a couple $1,000. For the supplies, it's at least, I'd say, 1K. So it's just like it's gonna cost you more than 1K, or maybe I would say maybe on average like 2 or 3K to even get that business started. And that's not even including like rent or somewhere where you're actually gonna do these services. And it's like you don't even have clientele yet. So how do you know for sure that you're going to make money? You need to build up that clientele. Whereas with Amazon, we have our clientele already handed to us because of Amazon. We have access to thousands and thousands and thousands of people because Amazon is letting us use their platform. So I think number one, because the sales are so easy to get, like it's just as long as you're choosing a product that's already popular, you're making sure that it's profitable and whatever, you're making sure there's not too much competition. There's a couple of factors you should look at, but as long as you're choosing good products and you're using good guidelines to choose these products, you will make sales. And we don't have to beg anyone to buy our products. We don't have to market our products. We don't have to make advertisements. We have an audience, or like a clientele that's already there to buy our stuff. So I think that's what makes it easier, I guess, because you have results almost right away.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of factors. I think timing too, and the fact that we started it like together, and like you, Charl, is it like what keeps you going back to Amazon?
Oof, that's a good question. I think that just being able to think bigger, because especially for me, I think that, well, at least I could say Amazon a cash flow cow. You know, if for me, Amazon's not my primary business, it's not my second business, it's probably fourth or fifth. But if my fifth could give me substantial returns, I could just use that cash flow to put it to my primary businesses and scale faster in those things. So I think that in terms, like Sasha said, seeing results, it's impossible within at least the first 2 weeks, you know, at least. Well, I'll speak for me, I had great teachers as well, but I was able to sell my second day as soon as Amazon got my inventory. You can't see that with most businesses, you know, and like Sasha said, it's probably the best business that you could start off with the lowest amount of capital required. So essentially, there's no limit to how much you can make. The only limit is how much you put into the business and how fast you scale it. So I think for me, knowing that information is you to go ahead and really scale up and being able to quit your 9 to 5, I think that's what keeps me going. Because if people around you are doing it, then and you're not able to scale, it's not the business, it's really what you're doing and how much effort you're putting in. So I think it's the only, or one of the few businesses that keeps you accountable at all times.
Yeah, I think community is a big thing too, because like when obviously me and Chris started at the same time. So I think that was definitely helpful, but also like around the same time, I was following like so many people on Twitter who were also in the same kind of things. So that's when I pretty much discovered Money Twitter, and I was following all of these people from Money Twitter who were also doing the same things, and like that just inspired me to have like one thing, because all of these people that were posting on Twitter, they all had their like specific business that they were doing or their specific niche. And so I felt like, oh my God, I want to have something too. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I had this one phase where I was posting like foodie pictures. Like I made like a foodie account, and I was like, I'm going to become a food blogger, because like health and fitness and like food and all of these things, it's something I'm passionate about, but it's just not like, I've just never been able to like monetize that into a business for some reason. I don't know why, but whatever. So when I was doing that was around the same time, and so I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna do this and this will be my thing, because I was watching a lot of videos of bloggers, and like bloggers actually make a lot of money. Like it's fucking crazy. If you do it properly, they make a lot of fucking money. So I was kind of into that, but then that's when Chris introduced Amazon to me, and I was like, this seems kind of like a better option to me. And so I ended up trying out Amazon, and that's just like how it went. But it was really like the mix of having Chris's support next to me and then also following people on Twitter that were doing the same thing that really like helped keep me motivated. Because if you're trying something new, or you're doing something that like nobody else around you is doing, like imagine nobody that's doing it, like how can you realistically stay motivated if there's nobody else doing the same thing?
And I just want to piggyback, because I know that you talked about like having a community, etc. And like I know I have an exit plan or a plan in head. I know Chris mentioned his exit plan as well. I want to know for you, Sasha, what's next in terms of Amazon? Like, do you have a goal in mind of where you want to take this? Do you have opportunities that you're seeking outside of Amazon? Like, where is, like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where you see your life going within Amazon and outside of Amazon?
That's a really good question, because like I said, I'm not somebody that thinks like way too much in the future, but honestly, like when I started selling on Amazon, I kind of saw it as a stepping stone. I was kind of like, I'm gonna try this out, and like I don't know if reselling is something that I want to do forever. I just like the fact that it's so simple, and it's like something that anyone can do. You don't need a lot of money, it's low risk. I like all of the things about it, but it's like the one thing that I find is lacking, in my opinion, is that there's like, because because it's not something that I'm creating myself, I lack a little bit of passion towards it. And so I think I think Amazon is a great tool to build your cash flow, all of that, but I think down the road either I'll make a private label product where I eventually make my own products. Maybe I'll keep doing this. I'm not really 100% sure, but I what I do know is that like eventually I want to create something of my own. So whether I still resell on Amazon and then I do a private label product at the same time, that could be an option, or maybe I'll drop it all together, use all of the capital or like all of the money that I or cash flow that I have from this business invested into my own products. That could be an option. But also I've been really focused at least this year on growing my YouTube channel. So that's kind of my main priority right now. So I'm not really looking to start doing any different business model because I'm really focused on building up my social media. And honestly, like I'm somebody that loves social media. I've always loved social media. Like I've always just been naturally active on social media. So it kind of brings me a lot of excitement to like be able to post online and just being able to like have like being able to help people when it comes to Amazon and have like a topic to talk about on YouTube. Like I'm so grateful that that's what I'm doing and I'm able to share all of the details about it because it's something that like nobody can learn this at school. So it's like everyone's going to go to YouTube to learn this. So I feel like it kind of like fell into my life at the perfect time because I also knew that I always wanted to do YouTube. Like I tried YouTube back in the day and that didn't last, unfortunately, but so I kind of always wanted to do YouTube too. So your question was like what do you see yourself doing in the future, but it's definitely like I want to definitely grow my YouTube as my main priority, but I also eventually want to create something. I don't know what it is, I don't know what it will be, but I'm just like I'm really into having my own products and like something that I can call my own. So that's kind of what I see my future looking like.
Do you think you'll be doing a private label on Amazon or?
I think I would definitely do it on Amazon, but also on my own. So like I would do like probably a Shopify store alongside Amazon.
Mm,
But again, this is like something that I'm not even sure. Like I'm not even 100%
yeah,
sure if I want to. I've thought about it. I've thought of like product ideas and I have like product ideas that like I have notes of like things that I want to make one day, but I just like it's not 100%, you know? And I feel like you need to build an audience that would want this product. Like my strategy is kind of to build an audience of people that might specifically want the product that I'm going to eventually launch before
mhm,
actually launching it because I think that's a smarter strategy. And like we always joke about how we're all bad at marketing. Maybe not you, Charl, but at least me and Chris we're always saying how like we're so bad at marketing and that's why reselling is so much easier because there's no marketing involved. But so that's why I feel like if I were to build an audience first and then launch my own products, that's kind of a smarter strategy. So that's kind of like what's going on in my head right now.
yeah. So you've been self-employed for a year now. How's that been? I know like a lot of people don't get that opportunity to go from
Yeah.
being an employee to self-employed and to make it last. So a year is not that long, but it's very good. And hopefully, this is the rest of your life it's gonna stay that way. So how has it been your
Facts.
first year being self-employed? What are the challenges? Like I know you're dropping a YouTube video about that, but yeah, what are the challenges, the pros, the cons about being self-employed?
Okay, first of all, I don't know how the hell I'm still here self-employed. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, is this even real? Because like a year or two ago I would have never thought that I would be in this position. So that's the first thing. Um and also like I'm saying I can't believe that it's been already a year. Like it doesn't feel like it's been a year for some reason. It feels like it's still so fresh. But honestly like part of me feels a little bit nervous because it's like it's never something that we're taught to do. It's not something that like a lot of my friends are doing. So like sometimes honestly sometimes I feel like oh my god, am I going to be able to do this forever? Because
Hmm.
it's not all rainbows and sunshine. There's like a lot of struggles that come with it. Um but at the end of the day, it's like I would not change the position that I'm in for anything. Like I can't imagine going any other route. So like I've never been so like content with the direction that my life is going in. So I don't know. I feel like well, I'll talk about the struggles, but I feel like overall this is the way that I know that my life is supposed to be going. So I'm very happy with that. But I will talk about the struggles. So in my YouTube video, like I prepared a whole list of like pros and cons, but um there are a couple of things that like I think about that I've been thinking about over the year that like are not the best, I guess. But the main thing that I always complain about is that it's so lonely. Like it's so fucking lonely. Not to swear, but like it's just so lonely. And I feel like you'll never fully understand this until you're actually self-employed, because even when you're self-employed and working part-time, it's like you're still in contact with your coworkers, you're still in contact with your manager, you're still talking to these people from your workplace here and there. Whereas like once you're completely detached from this workplace or from this company, it's like no one is talking to you anymore, you know?
Mhm.
And it's a weird feeling because we go through high school, or like elementary school, high school, college, university, then to a job, and it's like we're always in like a structured thing. We always have people around us. It's like we always have an authority figure. It's just like we're always in this position, and then to all of a sudden not be part of any community, any company, you're basically not a part of anything. And honestly, it's a scary feeling, because I'm somebody that's very social. I like to be around people. I like to meet new people. And obviously I've met people through my business, but it's mostly online because it's kind of hard to meet people that are doing this in my city. That's why we're having a networking party, hopefully. But
2 weeks, bro. 2 weeks.
yes, hopefully we need to talk about that after. But um yeah, so
And it's in
honestly it's
2
like
weeks. We haven't.
okay, well,
Yeah.
relax guys, we need to plan it first.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, honestly it's a scary feeling because you go from being part of something your whole life to not being part of anything. And honestly, like I swear it was like the day after I quit my job, I woke up and I was like, I remember, no, I think the first day I woke up and I was like, yes, I don't have to listen to anyone. I'm so happy I can make my own schedule. Then I think by the end of the week, I was like, holy fuck, what am I going to do with my life? And it kind of hit me like, there's just like a big blank, like, path of darkness that you have no idea what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it feels. Like you feel a little bit lost in the beginning. But I think with time you kind of get used to that feeling, and it's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like you have this like extreme feeling of excitement mixed with this extreme feeling of like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my life. So it's a really really strange feeling, but I think it's a mix of like highs and lows. And I think I'm making it sound really horrible, but honestly, it's like it's also nice because it's also
Mhm.
like you can control what you're gonna do. You can like it. I think it depends on the type of person you are or something. I don't know, because some people might not even want to have full control of. I mean, I guess everyone wants to have full control, but some people can't function properly without having like a structure. So I don't know. I think you really have to be able to make your own structure if you want to be self-employed. And honestly, like this took me like I think the first 6 months of me being self-employed, I kind of just like went with the flow. And like whenever I had to do work, I would just do it, but I didn't really have a planned week. Chris helped me a little bit. He inspired me a little bit with this, but I've started making my schedule like super structured, and this kind of helps a lot to make sure that I'm getting things done. So what works for me, at least if there's anyone that wants advice, but I kind of just do like one day is dedicated for each project that I'm doing. So Mondays are for YouTube, Tuesdays podcast day, Wednesdays for Amazon, Thursdays for like content like Twitter reels, stuff like that. So I think if you plan out your week like that, I guess kind of in the way that a 9 to 5 is structured, it's really helpful to actually get work done, because humans, I don't think they can operate without structure properly. So yeah. But I think that's the biggest thing of like, or like the biggest struggle that I had was just kind of like not really having any new friends, and not really having any direction, like nobody telling me what to do. So I think those are the two biggest like struggles that you would have when you first become self-employed.
Yeah, in terms of like entrepreneurship from like a woman's standpoint, I know that like working in the financial industry, you have good benefits, good insurance, but in terms of like insurances and like mental health aspects, in terms of getting help, could you talk about like the transition from being able to have your advantages covered to like making the transition from it having to be all your own personal expenses, and how is that like balance been? And you give advice for people who actually are thinking about that as something that's blocking them from quitting the 9 to 5?
Yeah, so in my pro and con video that I just recorded, I actually mentioned this too because that's also something that you lose. So I say in the video, like, you need to make sure that you quitting your job and you no longer having insurance, you're not going to have any more benefits, all of these things are gone. So you need to also take that into account. And um I don't know, I feel like it's possible to live without them, but there's like some things that it just offers a little bit more security if you have insurances and if you have like certain benefits. At least at the bank, when I was working at the bank, you could have like lower interest rates. I had a discount on my cell phone, on my Apple Watch. Like, I had so many amazing benefits at the bank. So the banking industry is like crazy when it comes to benefits. It's super super good. So letting go of that is definitely like, it's like, it shouldn't be taken lightly. Like, you need to make sure that this is what you're going to be doing, because I mean, I'm saying all of this, but I quit my job like recklessly. I was like, screw it, I'm quitting my job. So I didn't really like think about all of these things, but I guess part of me wishes that I did think about them a little bit more, because it does suck not having these benefits. But I will say that, at least for me, my life has become so much like, so much better in terms of like, I would say, my mental health and my physical health, by being able to have more free time. So like, that's my little argument of like why I don't really necessarily, I don't feel like I need to have health insurance or these things, because it's like, my life has become like, I've been able to become so much healthier, and my life in general has become so much better in terms of my mental health and my physical health, just by me being self-employed. So like, I don't know, that's kind of my argument for that. But also, like, I'm still gonna look into getting private health insurance, because you can pay
Yeah.
private health insurance yourself. There's a bunch of companies. I've been honestly, I've been like putting it off. But the way that you have to look at it is like, when you're working at a job, they're taking money from your paycheck usually to pay for these insurances. However, usually you have a better deal. But it's like, if you think of it that way, it's not so bad to pay out of your own pocket for a health insurance that you can, like, anyone can sign up for health insurance. It doesn't have to be through your job. So I think it shouldn't be something that's like taken lightly. You definitely need to acknowledge all of the benefits that you have at your job, and that should be a big factor of if you stay at your job or whatever. But um yeah, it's also like, it's possible to live without them.
Yeah. P.S. Everybody needs to have life insurance. Life insurance is important. So whether you're an entrepreneur or you have a 9 to 5, please get a policy, especially if you're under 30, because those things are what allow you to be able to, we'll say, take advantage of certain tax advantages.
We need to have an episode about this, because I still
I
don't
was
fully
gonna
understand
say, yeah,
why
I keep seeing
it's
these
beneficial.
reels about
Life
life
insurance?
insurance. Yeah.
Life
Yeah,
hack. Life hack.
we
But
need to have an episode about this.
we'll have an episode. I know somebody was in the life insurance
I was
industry, but
about to say, we need to find like an expert who
Yeah,
knows
we
I
about
need
know
this.
I
someone.
know a lot of people. I know a lot of people, so we're good on that. But it's less than your phone bill. It's $50 per month.
Damn.
You know? So, and you get $1 million policy, and you're ensured that if you pass away, that your family at least has $1 million policy over their head, and at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
if you have
for
any
sure.
assets, they won't lose anything.
Because yeah, I keep
Yeah.
seeing reels about it, so I'd love to have someone to come talk
Yeah,
to
yeah,
us about
100%.
it.
We'll
'Cause I
set
feel
that
like
up soon.
that's a whole world that has so many advantages that not a lot of people know about.
You know, it's crazy, but
Yeah,
I think that when we're young, we don't take those things seriously until it's too
Yeah, we
late.
think
And
we don't need them, you know?
yeah, you know, and if you're under 30, it's probably the best time to buy, because you could probably get a good
Mhm.
policy
Mhm.
under $100. But take it into consideration, if you smoke, if you do drugs, etc., it does cost you more. So people who are healthy, people who are in shape, take advantage of this time, because it won't be cheaper than what it is right now. The longer you
And
wait,
so
the more
as you
it's
age,
costing.
it
Yeah,
gets more
because you're more high
expensive.
risk.
Okay. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
more high
makes
risk.
sense.
I
Good
think
to know.
I just want to go back to what you were saying about being more healthy since you've quit your job, both mentally and physically. I think you see a lot of people who are healthy and fit, and you tend to assume that they own a business, because I think it goes hand in hand sometimes. Where if I see someone that's older, especially, like let's say a 40-year-old man at the gym, who's at the gym looking good, and he's at the gym, let's say at 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. I don't. I tend to associate that with, or I immediately think that he's an entrepreneur. He's got a business. That's why he's able to be here at 11 a.m. That's why he's fit and taking care of himself. So you were saying like you feel healthier since you've quit your job. And I think that when you have a job, you don't realize how bad it can get. I think that giving all of your energy away to these companies and draining yourself for 8 hours per day, often doing things that you don't want to be doing truly, can have a very negative effect on your mental health as well as your physical health. And I think that that's not talked about enough. So how much has it changed for you? Because I know how much it's changed for me since I've quit my job in terms of my mental and physical health. But like, yeah, how much, if you could describe the difference
Yeah,
between when
okay.
you were employed and when you're not employed.
Yeah, so I'm ready for this question. So I'll say two things. So first of all, I dreamed always my whole life because I've always struggled with like my diet, with eating properly. I've always had trouble with like maintaining a healthy diet. I've just struggled with like in general finding a balanced routine that works for me my whole entire life. It's always been a struggle, and I used to always say like, please, I just want to be able to eat my lunch and go to the
Mm-hmm.
gym on my own time whenever the hell I want. That's always been like,
Yeah.
I used to tweet that like periodically. I would tweet it every 3 months because I was like, I just want to go to the gym at a reasonable time that's good for my body. And I want to, like, when you're on your 30-minute break and you're shoveling down food and then you feel sick after and then you have to go take calls, like, it's just not a pleasant feeling. And I mean, if you have a 1 hour lunch break, you're lucky as fuck. But most people, I guess most of my jobs were 30 minutes and it's not enough time to eat. So I used to always be like, I just want to eat at my own time when I want, when my body wants to eat, and not have to like force myself to eat and like to shovel down food as fast as I can. So that's number one. Number two, this is something that I actually realized like really, really recently. So because I've been working on so many of like my own personal projects and just in general, like I've been trying to work on my business, work on my YouTube channel, build up everything. It's like it's kind of what you were saying, Chris, where like having a business kind of goes hand in hand with like taking care of your body and all of these things. And I think I discovered why, or like this is what I've been thinking recently is, and I'll explain how I came to this conclusion, but basically it's like when you're working on something that's yours, it's your business, it's my face on my YouTube channel, it's my personal brand. It's like I care more about the quality of this work than I did with the quality at my 9 to 5. So you want your body, your brain, your mind, you want your everything about you to function better at the highest possible capacity when it's something of your own. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
having your something of your own, it motivates you to be more passionate. Like you're just more passionate about it because it's yours and you care more about your physicality, your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
everything, because you want that to reflect on your work. You want that to reflect on your business. And I'll explain how I came to this conclusion. So there was one there was one day where like I was out with my friends or something, I forget, but I ended up drinking some alcohol, and the next morning I had to record a YouTube video. And I remember like recording the video and I was so low energy. Like I will literally show you guys the video after compared to one of my more recent videos, and you're going to see the difference in my facial expressions, the tone of my voice, my energy levels. Like I just look completely different. And I remember filming that video, editing it, posting it, because I had to like film a video that same day and post it that same day. That was my deadline. And I remember just being like, oh my God, I have no energy. I sound lifeless. And like, I wasn't proud of that video, but I still got it out because I was like, I have to. And so ever since then, that was kind of like a wake up call for me to like really, really prioritize my energy and like feeling good because it reflects on my work. Maybe this is just because I've started doing YouTube and YouTube requires you to speak and to be like animated and stuff. But I think in general, like the state of your body and your health and your energy and everything will reflect on your business. If you're not healthy, if you're not feeling good, why would your business strive, you know? Whereas if you're working for a job that you don't really care about, you're not going to put your full effort into it because it's not yours. That's just how it works. No one's going to work as hard on someone else's business as their own. So it's like you don't really care as much at a job. So like you don't really care to take care of your health as much because it doesn't matter if you have low energy tomorrow because it's not like you're going to put your full effort anyways. So that was my kind of conclusion of like, how did I get to being where I was when I had a job to now? And that was my realization, is that like I just care a lot more to be in a good, happy place than I did when I had a job because I don't care as much. I didn't care as much.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
That's my little rant because like I it's just a recent discovery that I was like thinking about and I was like, holy shit.
But it's true because for your 9 to 5, you don't need as much energy as you do when you're doing something for yourself.
Yeah, like you just don't care as much.
Yeah, mentally and physically. But I think that when you're an employee, you don't even, like, I remember being an employee. I, of course, wanted the same thing as you, where I wanted to eat whenever I could, gym whenever I could.
Yeah.
But you don't think either that it's possible, or you just don't think about it that deeply. You just think that it's normal. The way you're living your day-to-day life is normal because everyone else around you is living that way.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that plays out over time. So before I mentioned the 40-year-old man, I think that for now everyone's still young. You can have a 9 to 5, go to the gym and everything and be healthy. I think a lot of people choose to be healthy for personal reasons. But I think over time it plays out that people in general who do have 9 to 5s typically feel worse mentally and physically. And whereas people who have control over their time look better and feel better physically and mentally. And thinking about that, just that on its own, if we can remove like financial aspects, money and everything, I think that just thinking of your mental health and your physical health, that owning control of your time is more important than any money that anyone's
Yeah.
ever going to pay you. And so I think for me and for a lot of people who have quit their jobs, that's a key factor in deciding whether you want to be an employee forever or whether you want to own something at some point. More than just financial aspects, because obviously the money, we all know that entrepreneurs can make an infinite amount of money if they choose to do so. But mentally and physically, that's talked about way less. But there's a crazy difference. Like me, I've been self-employed for 2-3 months now, and just the difference that it's made in my life is incredible. And yeah. Like, what about you, Charles? Because you still have 9 to 5 full time. Do you relate to anything we're saying, or are you still
At
like?
this point, I'll leave it to you because for me it's really different. I'm glad I'm able to separate the two, and I guess it's because I don't think I have a 9 to 5. I have a 24/7. You know, and if you think of it like that, it's like
Yeah.
I'll go to the gym at 1 a.m. and I'll work out. You know, it's like, and like I don't want to compare myself to like athletes, but that's why I take it. I take it like if you wire your brain to say you're on a 24-hour schedule and this is what you have to do, anything's possible. I think and something I learned from you too is like legit, it's time management. Only focus on the tasks that make you money. If that doesn't make you money, outsource it. And I think that's where you're able to really understand the value of time. And I think for people with 9 to 5, unfortunately, you don't. I'll say the disadvantage with 9 to 5 is that you don't consider your actual 9 to 5 between those hours. Essentially, your 9 to 5 is how much time it takes you to commute back and forth, and you divide that by your total salary, and that gives you hourly wage or how much you make truly. And I think people say they make $50,000, but if you take after taxes, you got 30, and if you take a commute, you really make between 26 to 28.
Isn't that fucked up?
Maybe even
that's
less
all we
after
take home?
taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, but that's what it is. Like for me, essentially, it's like the way I look at it. I look myself like I'm like, okay, well, if I make a job X amount, and I just need how much I need to make $100,000, then you say, okay, well, these are the things that can scale me up to $100,000. Once you get to that range, it's it's easier for you to balance your time to say, let me take out all these things and make sure I make money even though I'm in a car commuting to work, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where, for people who don't want to, or for people who don't feel like the 9 to 5 serves them, then you probably have to look to see for other streams of income. But for people who actually enjoy the 9 to 5 and the 9 to 5 isn't a place where you feel like dying, there are other ways for you to scale. Oh no, because for me, especially like being like having a role in like as a real estate analyst compared to like the other jobs I had, it's not the same thing when you like you go into work and like, okay, I can't wait to leave. Like when you're
Yeah.
truly passionate about what you do and like you feel like you're learning on the job, I think it comes to a different credence. But like we spoke last week, when you have like middle management breathing down your neck and you feel that you can't have an opinion and you can't stand out as an employee, I feel like that's where people feel lost or feel stuck. So I feel like that's where, like Chris said, you don't have the ability to scale up mentally, physically, because you're always tamed to stay at a certain level your whole time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people should take value from that, because looking at it in a 24/7 mind frame is, because a lot of people, what I used to do was, this is my 9 to 5, that's it. Like everything in my life was dictated based on that. So even when I was outside
Me
of work,
too.
my whole night was ruined because I knew the next day I had to go back there
Yeah,
again. So let's say even after the weekend, Sunday is ruined because Monday I have to go back to work.
yeah,
So everything that you do is based on that because you hate it so much, you don't like it so much. But if you can get to a position where you're at, which, like you said, you are passionate about your job, then you've won basically.
yeah, exactly. And you guys know, I go to my property like at 11 p.m. I'm still there doing construction. I have a Discord channel I have to do research for. Like when you think of how
Yeah,
much
you
work
don't
you actually
sleep.
have to put in, people are like, oh, how you do it 9 to 5? It's because I legit don't sleep.
You
But
don't
it's
sleep.
Yeah.
okay because you're putting the work. I put in the work that is required for me to be able to have a 9 to 5 that's, I won't say optional, but it's complementary to my life.
Mm.
It's not entrepreneurship or 9 to 5, it's both. And if both could work at the same speed or one faster than the other, then I win both ways. But like Chris said, my life doesn't stop after a 9 to 5. Like Gary V says, I have a 9 to 5 and I have a 6 to 12 or 6 to 5 or
Facts.
6 to 9. And if it's me doing research for Amazon at 2 a.m., best believe I'll do it, because that 2 hours spent on making research is probably $2,000 I could get back in my business, etc., or even more.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it like that, is you realize how much time you have available to just how you utilize that time at all times.
Yeah, I actually want to add to that as like advice for people, because it's true. It's like when you don't have a job, it's like you have you have nobody like motivating you or telling you what to do, right? So it's like you're allowed to chill a little bit more than if you have a job. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you can have a job that you like, that you enjoy, and you're gaining something from this job, and it's not just driving you crazy, whatever, and you're paid well, you enjoy what you're doing. I think that it's, in a way, it's a nice thing, because like Charl was saying before, time management is like so important. And I find like the one thing about a job is that they're telling you what to do, and you have a, like, you're motivated because you're like, oh well, if I don't do this, my boss is going to get mad at me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have a deeper motivation than, I don't know, like when I first quit my job, I felt like there was a lot of times where I could have been working a lot more than I was. And when you have a job, you're not allowed to slack like that, so it takes a while as a self-employed person to find that discipline and to really like motivate yourself and to create like a schedule for yourself. But for a good couple of months, there were a lot of times where I would allow myself to kind of slack off, whereas when I had a job and I was doing Amazon at the same time, when I was doing both, it's like, at least instead of me slacking off, I was working as well, so it's like on my time off from my business, I was working a job. So I think if you can manage your time really well and see it as 24/7 instead of like only your 8 hours a day, that's a really, really good way to think of it, because you can fit in so much. You can actually fit in so much into your day, like way more than you'd believe. And now I feel like I have an amazing schedule going on where like almost every day I'm working almost every hour of the day, but I still know that there's more that I can do, but it's because I'm lazy, you know? So I feel like the best strategy that people can do is just like, if you really don't like your job and you want to become self-employed eventually, just start by working part-time, and then eventually, you know, you can phase it out eventually. But
Yeah.
it's true, I think the first step is to learn how to manage your time before you do anything.
Yeah. Facts.
No, because I think it's important, especially like you said, time management. Because I think that, especially for me, is like there's two types of people: people who work hourly and people who have like a salary and don't tell you how many hours you have to work, and
Mm-hmm.
you essentially have to do the work and get it done by this date. And I think like when you have a salary and they don't tell you how many hours you have to work and you just have to get the job done, I think that prepares you for entrepreneurship because it's the same thing. Sometimes you have deadlines, they don't give
That's true.
you requirements. It's just on you to get it done. I think ever since I finished school and I transitioned from a salary, I think that the mental focus of being efficient with my time just allowed me to apply those skills and use it to entrepreneurship. You know, and you have people who are bad employees that are able to go to entrepreneurship. But I think that using your 9 to 5 and using the way your manager micromanages people, or you looking to talk to the manager or the senior vice president, I think those are skills and people you can refer yourself to learn those things and apply to your 9 to 5. Because at least for me, if everything goes well and I don't need a 9 to 5 anymore, the goal isn't to be a worker in my 9 to 5. The goal is to be CEO and have an overview of my business, not to
Yeah.
be actively in it. I want to be able to delegate, have feedback on it, and there you go. So I think that it's important if you are still in your 9 to 5 to be able to make that transition from employee, but look to see if you're able to get exposure to management or look to take more of a figure in terms of management roles or just being, I'm not saying kiss ass, but look to senior management and learn those skills so you can apply to your entrepreneurship. Because I think that it's a hard transition from saying I'm an employee and saying everything falls on me. And like Sasha said, your face is on it as well at all
Mm,
times. You have to make sure that everything is down the line properly.
yeah, it's true. It's a lot more responsibility. Obviously, like everything is your responsibility. I mean, honestly, like I think it's just something that you need to weigh all the factors and see if it's something that's
Yeah.
right for your situation. Obviously, don't quit your job if you're not making it enough money. Like I honestly I would recommend to make at least 3 times what you were making at your job per month. Like make sure that you're making a lot more money. Um, like I'm really happy with the impulsive decision that I made. Like I'm very, very happy. I'm so happy I quit my job. And like to emphasize that the reason why I quit my job is because I saw a Gary Vee video and he was like, he had said like he was some guy was asking him advice like, oh, should I quit my job? And he was like, if you're making more money than you're making at your 9 to 5, like you should quit your job so that you can have more free time to build up your business even more.
Hmm.
And he's like, imagine how much more money you could make with all of the free time that you'll have. And then he said, like, worst case scenario, if something goes wrong, you can always go get another job. So like, yes, I believe
Yeah.
that I think like I'm very happy with my decision and I wouldn't change like what I ended up doing. I'm very like happy with the way that things are going and I'm grateful to even be in this position, but I also think that it's not a light decision that should necessarily be taken lightly. Like you need to think about every single factor because I don't think entrepreneurship is necessarily for everyone. I think everyone can do it, but some people might not, it might not even be for them. So I think it's important to understand what it takes, everything that's, you know, that you have to deal with when you're self-employed and
Yeah.
understand if that's for you. And like I'm still encouraging people like if you want to quit your job because there's something else out there that could work for you, but also like weigh your options and make sure that it's the right decision for you. I think I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I think that's well said. And I don't know what happened to Chris, but I guess I'll ask my last question and then we'll see if he comes back. But I know that we're in such a culture where we have these boss chicks. I'm an entrepreneur type situation. I know for you, first off, how don't you fall in those traps of saying I'm a boss chick and really saying that you can keep your head down, but you also transition and say like I'm a human being and I can still transition functionally. Because I think that I think that one of the things that we sometimes glamorize entrepreneurship, but I think that sometimes, especially you see more in the States with the G Wagon and this and that, that we over promote what it is compared to the reality. I think that you and Chris have done a good job of seeing the pros and the cons and like really just living your life and letting people see it as for what it is. But how you just talk about like the boss chick culture and if that had an impact on your entrepreneurship like journey.
Well, I think it's true that it's a little bit glamorized and like like I said, entrepreneurship is not necessarily for everyone. You guys already know like I've wanted this since I left high school. This is something I've always wanted. I've known that I wanted it. And like with Chris's story, it was kind of the opposite, but this is still the right thing for him right now. And like you never know, maybe in 2 years I'm going to be like, let me go get a job because things could change. But anyways, I think like I'm very happy with the position I'm in, but I'm just saying like there's always like different things you can try in life and that might not be the right thing for you. It might be the right thing for you. So I think the fact that like the boss culture, whatever, I think it's really like people just want to be able to say that they're a CEO or like an entrepreneur, but they don't actually want to do what it
Wait,
actually takes.
you guys know what's so funny? I changed my bio recently on my IG to entrepreneur, but I thought like 10,000 times before I changed it because I was like, am I really doing this? Because it said finance before, and I'm like, for me it was like money, like I'm the money guy, you know. So that's how I saw
Yeah.
it. But then I was like, okay, finance doesn't really make sense because I don't really talk about finance like that. But so I was
No,
like,
I
okay,
think
let me
finance
change
does
it to
make sense.
entrepreneur. But now I felt bad putting entrepreneur because it's so like cringy, or it was so
Yeah.
sought after. Everyone's trying to put entrepreneur in their IG bio,
Yeah.
And
and
it's just a title. Like our generation is so obsessed with labels because of social media. Like we're so
yeah,
obsessed with, oh, like this is what my label is. And this goes with like occupations too. Like we're all so obsessed with having a
Well,
title. But it's like,
because
do you even like this? Like is this even the thing
I
for you?
but you see, and having experienced that, I think that I don't know how I feel about it because I think that when you have the right title, it gives you access to different things. I never experienced that in my life. You know, we all have done like customer service and like even though we were in the financial industry, like when you say you work customer service, people are gonna say like, oh, okay. But when you say your official job title and it's something that people are like, oh wow, tell me more.
Yeah, people respect you, and
mm,
Yeah,
that's
people
why
respect
we
you and they
chase
give you
after it.
opportunity. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And I kind of like it, but I don't know how I feel about it because I feel like
yeah,
sometimes like
Well,
you
I
wouldn't
love
talk to
it. I
me.
love it because my Instagram used to have nothing in my bio. It used to say Montreal, and I was depressed because I was like, I don't have a thing. Like, what is my thing? But I think it's flawed in a way because we're so like we're chasing after just this title and like
Yeah.
just
bro,
to
it's so
seem like we
stupid.
have something. Like we're just trying to seem like we have something and to like
Mm.
fit in to something. So I don't know. I feel like every girl just wants to be like a boss CEO, and like that's just like it's become a thing. And
Mm.
even me, like when I see other girls that are like, oh, it's a boss bitch or whatever, and I'm like, yes, me too. Like I'm like encouraging it because I'm like, yes, I'm living for this. But at the same time, it's like a lot of the time like you're saying, it's just people who, you know, they just want to get a G-Wagon or they just want to promote like a certain lifestyle, but they don't want to show what the business actually takes. Or like not a lot of people show the dark sides of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. Or like I don't know, it's just weird. Like it's a weird topic. Our whole culture has become so like obsessed with labels and not really actually like we want to say, oh yes, I'm this, but we don't actually want to do the work. You know, I don't know.
But
It's just a weird it's a
what's
weird
annoying, I
place.
don't know. Did you guys know a way to not do this? Because when you have like a business page on IG, there has to be something there. Like I tried, I would rather put nothing than put entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to put
I think
something.
You have
there
to
you
put
go.
something, and there was
Yeah.
nothing else that like works with what I'm doing.
Guys, to be honest, I think mine says entrepreneur. So you guys might talk shit about
Oh
me, but
really?
Hold
I
on.
think so,
Let me see
yeah.
mine. I think mine says
Yeah,
finance.
I put mindset finance up.
Mine's
I don't know.
entrepreneur
I
because like
wanted to put podcast, but also
I
my
don't have
personal
one
page
actually.
isn't podcast.
guys, it's
Wait,
because I do way too many things. I like you know what I'm saying? Like it's
I do have
YouTube.
that's weird.
entrepreneur.
Damn,
I do have
nah, bro.
entrepreneur.
Wow, Chris is throwing shots at us.
Yeah,
But
it'd
I
be
have
like
it
that,
now
huh?
too because there was nothing else to put. But I felt like I had to think about it because I was like, bro,
Yeah, but I
it's
think
so funny to have that there. Like it's
I'm
just
too afraid to commit to one niche, so I didn't want to put finance or anything, or like there's one that says
mm.
education or something.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking
Which
about education, but
I was gonna put that one, but then I was also kind of just like, I don't want to like limit myself to being like
yeah.
just an educator. Like I want to be an entrepreneur. So I don't know.
But
It's us wanting the title, you know.
but I'll say this:
Yeah.
it actually helped the algorithm because I spoke to someone when I
Really?
first started was an investor. I was in education, transition over to finance, and then afterwards, once I did entrepreneurship, you just get blasted everywhere. I'm sorry, it just
No
works
way.
like that. So
Yeah, and I'm
I'll
sure
say
you
for
can
the
make like you
algorithm,
can make connections easier that way because it's like other entrepreneurs will be like, oh, she's an entrepreneur. Like when I see people that are self-employed, I'm like intrigued because I'm like, I want to see what their life looks like. I want to, I don't know, like it's motivating to see other people
yeah.
that are doing the same thing as you. So I kind of like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think our whole culture has become so obsessed with titles that it's like, I don't
Hmm.
know.
And I'll just say this: I'll say people have an actual business, and I think people have a wannabe business. Respectfully. But if you're whining or if you're selling lashes for $20 and you have a Spotify website, nothing wrong with that. But there's like levels to how much scalability you have. And I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
true.
if you're making 100, and I had a Shopify store, I was able to sell it, God willing, but the ability to scale your business to a level like Chris and Sasha, and like when you're able to say six figures is a compensation that is the minimum, that's when you could, like, for me, call yourself entrepreneur. Or if you're able to go into multiple industries and repeat the same success, for me, that's my definition of entrepreneur. But I think a lot of people just sell different small things and they'll use the entrepreneurship label. So I think that's where our culture, like, confuses, or at least for me, I find it confusing to know what's appropriate in terms of like living yourself. Because sometimes a side hustle is a side hustle and then business is the actual business.
Yeah, facts. Facts, facts.
Yeah, and I think people like want to be self-employed or like they want entrepreneurship, but they don't actually like it's not something that will actually work for them. And like I don't want to say like, oh, only certain people can be entrepreneurs. I think anyone can develop the skills to be an entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
does everybody want to do that? Not necessarily. So I think some people just want to have that title, but they don't, it's not actually something that they would enjoy doing because I don't know. I think some people just they don't think about starting a business. It's not something that they've ever thought of or that they've ever wanted to do. So I think I don't know. I think some people just it's not for them, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think that it's skills to be able to, like, you need to have, and then I think it's also your personality trait. But since I asked you the question last week, I'm asking Chris a question this week. Chris, in terms of like three skills or three attributes, like characteristics that you saw from Sasha
Oh
before Amazon and Sasha right now, what would you say are the three biggest changes that you see from her?
shit. I think there's one that's like really that stands out more than the rest, and it's just her work ethic. Like sh hardworking work ethic. She works at times harder than me for longer hours. In the mornings, I wake up 3 hours after her. She's already been awake for 3 hours on her phone. Like she's 24/7 on her phone, working, 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 working. And so that wasn't there before when I met her. Because obviously, when you have a 9 to 5, you work at your 9 to 5 and then you stop. But actually, she's always had that because she's always had like more than one job. So she was always hustling and working hard. And I think now it's just way more apparent because now there's nothing that's pushing her, or there's nothing that, like she's spoken about, there's nothing that when you're self-employed, you technically don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
But so
literally.
so yeah, so like there's no real consequence. I mean, obviously there's going to be long-term consequences of you not taking action and doing your things, but there's no boss that's going to yell at you or anything like that. And the fact that that's there and she's still like always working, 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 I think that's like the thing that stands out the most about her is her work ethic. And is there anything else that stands out or that's changed? I don't know. I don't know. I think, yeah, I think those, like, work ethic and working hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I
do you
think
feel
like
about that?
I've always had so many jobs and stuff. I've always like worked a lot of jobs, but like it's true that like I don't know, when it's something of your own, I think your work ethic definitely goes up. But yeah, facts. I agree.
Yeah, and I guess the last question to like close it out, in terms of like work-life balance, I know that it's been a struggle for us. I should ask you this too, but since having the conversation, do you feel like you have done improvement in terms of that aspect? If not, what are some things that you could advise some people to like look into, or could you just talk about like the struggles of like the work-life balance ever since quitting your 9 to 5?
You mean work life balance as
Yeah,
like
like
being
also like your
self-employed?
friends, your family, like how's that been since quitting your 9 to 5?
Well, honestly, it's like it's easier because you have more time, but I think it's like it depends because you can have a job, you can have a business that's like that gives you somewhat passive income where like there are periods of time where you don't need to work and then you can get paid for it. It's not necessarily like my businesses are not all 100% passive, but they're a little bit more passive than active. So you can have a business that's like a little bit more passive rather than being active. And if you have that type of business, work life balance is much easier because you can choose your schedule. You can prioritize your family. Like just me being home all the time and like before when I had a job, like my door would always be closed even if I was working from home, whereas now it's like my door is always open even when I'm working, unless I'm filming a video or something, but like I'm always like seeing my family every single day. So I think being able to like spend more time with my family has definitely improved. Like I was thinking about it recently. I said this on another episode, but I was like, wow, I feel like I know my family more than I did 2 years ago, because like I swear like I was just like I was always working and I just feel like I didn't even realize it, but now that I spend so much more time with my family, I'm like, wow, I'm actually able to like see them and talk to them and like, it's just it's really nice. So I think that's like easier. Um but I mean, there are some like struggles that come with that because it's like because I have so much free time and I can pick my schedule and stuff, like not everyone necessarily respects that. So it's kind of hard to work, especially if you live with your family because it's like not they sometimes they think you're not working when you're actually working and like stuff like that. I don't know if that's what you mean by balance, but like
Yeah,
that's something that can cause you to like struggle working because people like you're not sitting at a desk with your door closed and you don't have a headset on. It's like I'm just at my computer answering emails or something, and like so people will come in my room and talk to me and stuff, and like I don't like closing my door. So I don't know, I'm just like I find it's very nice, but there's also struggles with that. And also like filming a YouTube video in a household with your family is a disaster. And I hope they watch this episode and understand because every time I film a YouTube video, I can hear people in the background like opening and closing doors. And I'm just like, "Oh my God." So it's really hard. Like it's really hard to like because we don't have like an office, like these are all fixable problems because I can go get an office eventually, so I'm not worried about these things. But it's just like especially if you're working from home as an entrepreneur, it's really hard to like it's almost in a way harder to separate your life from your business because it's always there 24/7 and people don't really see it as significantly as they see a job, so they don't separate it either, so they treat you like you're just always chilling all the time. And like people will be like, oh hey, can you do this for me, because like they know I don't have a job, and usually I'll say yes. They know that they know. Wait guys, my cat is meowing. One sec. Wait, can I just let him out, please? Please, I'm so sorry,
Uh,
Chris, you're gonna have to edit this.
no, it's fine. I'll
yeah,
keep going. I think from my end, it's like the same thing, where my family just think I'm not
Chilling.
doing anything. So they ask me to do things and they're like, "Are you doing anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working." And they sort of don't believe it, or not that they don't believe it, but they're like, "Okay, but do this for me."
they
Because
just they
they,
just don't think that it's possible that you're working because you're like you're sometimes I'm on my bed on my
yeah,
phone
I'm on
and
my
that
bed,
that
I'm
is me
working usually.
working.
Yeah,
But it's like in between I'm also watching a YouTube video or something, so it's like it's like you're not fully like sitting down setting a timer and working for 1 hour. You're just like
yeah,
working throughout the day. And so it's hard for somebody to look at you and to be like, oh, this person's working, because it
yeah,
doesn't look
yeah,
like we're working, but we are. So it's not even that I blame anyone for thinking that. It's just that I get like that's just what they see. They see us and they think we're chilling. And so me too, it's like because we can also choose our schedule. It's like someone will be like, oh, hey, do you want to go to the gym with me right now? But I'm like, oh, I'm filming a YouTube video. And they're like, well, you can just do it later because you don't have a job. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, this
This
is
is my
my
job. Yeah.
schedule. Yeah, this is my job. This is the schedule that I set out. This is the deadline that I set out. I need to prioritize that. But it's like, because I have so much control over my time, it's like people don't take it seriously. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but I think
Yeah.
you understand. So I think it's like I have more free time to be able to like see my family, see my friends for sure. But it's like it's also hard to work because of that reason. So it's like I don't know. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. I think it was a great way of like also piggybacking on like the pros and cons of entrepreneurship, but also making it
Yeah.
more realistic of seeing like what's the reality of like being able to like have a multiple side hustles or multiple streams of income, but also navigating your family dynamics as well.
Yeah, I think you just have to go find a cafe. Like that's what I've been doing. Like sometimes I'll like if
Yeah.
I'm like I just need to focus, I'll just go like I've been going to cafes with my friends and like that's like any friends that I have that need to do work outside of their job or they can work from a cafe. Like I've started doing a little bit of cafe dates and like that helps a lot to be like focused and you're sitting with somebody else who needs to be focused. So I think that's a useful way to manage your time, I guess, or like to carve out a certain time of when you're actually going to be focused. And also like just rent an office. I want to rent an office so badly. Like I need an office because for my YouTube videos, like it's just it's not working anymore. There's people outside yelling all the time. Like I have to close my window. Like it's really hard to like film professional videos in a shared
Mhm.
household. So like that can also be something that you eventually do is like have an actual office and that will help you separate it from your day-to-day life.
Facts. Yeah. Yeah. Moving soon. That's hopefully gonna take care of a lot of those things because there's gonna be offices that we can rent
Yeah, that's going to be
and
amazing.
hopefully record the podcast in the offices as well.
Yes, we can have
So
some in-person sessions. I'm
have
fucking
live
excited for
guests
that.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be lit as fuck. But I think yeah. Do you guys want to keep going or I think 1 hour 20?
No, I think all this Sasha has more to say there, but
No, I
I
think
think it
that's
was
honestly I think that's a good episode, a good amount of things were said. I guess I'll just end it by guys, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to take a leap of faith and like try something new if you're unhappy, but also make sure that it's the right decision for you because you know, there's a lot of different factors and a lot of pros and cons that people don't talk about. A lot of entrepreneurs show themselves dancing on TikTok and like doing fun things, but they don't show the hard parts of it. So, yes, take risks. We're young. You should try different things if you're unhappy, but also make sure that this is the right step for you. I
Yeah.
hope that's a good way of ending, but
No, for
yeah.
sure. So congratulations again. Happy 1 year of
I
self-employedness.
can't even believe it's real. Like as you're saying it to me right now, it's just like my brain doesn't comprehend what you're saying.
Are you gonna post the cake? Are you gonna buy a cake?
Yes, I'm gonna go with my mom. Well, we'll see. But hopefully, I don't want to see that. Actually, no, the episode will be out by then. But yeah, I want to buy a cake that says like goodbye 9 to 5, hello 24/7. Chris said it's corny, but wouldn't that be cute?
hey man, do you, girl?
It's no, it's fine. It's fine.
No, because
You
it's like
should,
hello, it's like goodbye 9 to 5, hello 24
yeah,
7.
yeah.
Because like
Yo,
an
but it's facts. Somebody
It is
said once
fact.
you quit your 9 to 5 to have a 24/7.
exactly,
That's
so
true.
That's true.
it's kind of like a like I'm dissing myself a little bit, but it's like it's what I chose, it's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So you know,
It's
that
literally what we chose, and we
it's an
wouldn't take it back.
accomplishment for me. Like this is something that I'm so proud of. So like even my birthday, I didn't even care to celebrate my birthday as much as this, but this is like to me this is like such a huge accomplishment that like I've
Yeah, it
always
feels like
wanted for so long that I'm like is this even real? And I'm like mad that I didn't celebrate it last year when I actually quit because I don't know, it's like I quit on I quit so randomly. I literally was like, Chris, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. And I kind of just did it like out of nowhere. So I didn't have time to like process it, I guess. But now
Hmm.
this year, I'm like, this is fucking real. And I'm so proud of myself. And like, I'm proud of the position I'm in. And I want to celebrate it properly, you know, because I think, at least for me, this is like a huge achievement that I feel like deserves
yeah,
some
no,
type
it's
of
definitely worth
celebration.
celebrating, and you deserve it for all the work you've been putting in. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I don't episode 15, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it episode 15? Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah, I think
is.
it's episode 15. I can
Thank you
check
for
quick,
watching and
quick.
subscribing. No, I'm
15.
pretty sure it's episode 15. If you've liked the episode, leave a like, and we will see you
Yo,
next
Tyler,
week.
drop a diamond, bro.
Facts.